to, oh, thank you, recording in progress. My colleague Stella is going to post a little poll into the chat just to try and collect some of your ideas about your practice puzzles. So once that's there, you could start to complete that, but it is open for quite a while, so don't feel you have to launch straight into sharing your thoughts on that poll. Then after that, we've got two colleagues who are going to talk to us about their particular puzzles that they have experienced and how they went about resolving those. And again, that'll be Stella will kick us off with that. And then our other colleague, Judith, is also going to talk about one of her practice puzzles as well. And then once we've had a chance to listen to them, we would like to put you into groups with other people on the call. And it's a chance for you to share some of your ideas as well and to talk about the kind of things that you've been puzzling over recently and how you might have gone about approaching them. And we'll give you a little bit of a framework to do that if you need it. It will be there. Carol will post that in the chat when we get to that point. And then at the end of the afternoon, we will be getting a little bit of feedback from you because we aim to please and we want to think about how we can do events in the future and what you might find useful in the future as well. So I think the Menti is posted now in the chat. So if you want to have a look at that, you can. Otherwise, if Stella is ready with her earphones, I can see her adjusting herself. Oh, and we can't hear you, Stella. I don't know if you're on mute, perhaps.
I don't think so.
Oh, there you go. Or maybe you weren't speaking. Maybe I just saw your mouth move. If you're ready, Stella, would you like to kick us off with your own experiences?
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me just share my screen. Okay. Sorry, a little bit of disappeared just one moment. I've got too many screens open. We'll get there. Let's try again. There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. So, can you see my screen, everybody?
We can, well, I can see it, Stella. That's fine, thanks.
Fabulous. Okay, so my name's Stella and I'm at the EAP, the TED in EAP events coordinator. And I also work at Nottingham Trent University as an EAP lecturer. And I'm going to talk to you today about a puzzle I had, which was talking too much in class. So I want to talk today about how I looked at reducing my TTT and the approach I took. Okay, so what really am I talking about? So at the start, when we had the pandemic, everyone went online, myself included, and after a period of teaching, I felt I was talking too much. Possibly that sore throat and the endless need for water gave a clue, but also I felt I wanted to be more precise and targeted in what I was saying. I felt that I was waffling somewhat. So why did I want to do that? Why was it important? Well, I think, you know, when I started my career a long time ago, I almost grew up with, you know, less TTT. And why? Because if the teacher's talking too much, it's taking away that time that the students can be developing their communicative competence and also developing their autonomy, as described by Ellis and Noonan. And if we fast forward to now, and I think this takes on a new dimension or a slightly different dimension, having read Barley's report on the impact of COVID on the EAP sector by Bruce and Stakounis this year, I was interested to read that teachers were commenting. One, they felt they were talking too much in class because they felt that they've got shorter classes and they needed to get through the input quicker. And then secondly as well, some teachers are saying, well, my students aren't engaging, so I'm almost filling those silences with my own words. But it's not a good thing, you know, because of communicative competence and developing autonomy, but I think it's also about digestibility online. When anybody's listening online, they can only digest a certain amount of information at any time, and they certainly can only concentrate for a certain amount of time. Okay, so I wanted to develop this because I knew it needed improvement. So how did I do this? So the approach I took, having looked at the Barley Peep Handbook, which promotes around a framework of developing your practice. I wonder if everyone could go on mute. I've got a bit of background noise there. Okay, I'll carry on. If everyone could go on mute, that would be great. Thank you. So first, gather feedback, and then what you learn from that feedback, you then take those results, and then you make a plan. And you make a plan with aims, and then you put that plan into practice, and then you evaluate that plan, how you progress against the goals you set. So how did I get on? What did I do? What did I find? Well, in terms of feedback, I videoed one of my classes and then watched it back, and then, you know, to observe whether I was talking too much and was I pithy enough? Was I clear and brief enough in what in my teacher talk? I looked back at formal observation notes that had been done by someone who'd observed me. Again, online, that was last year. And I also informally asked students and some colleagues who had team talked with me in the past and knew my teaching quite well. And really the findings from that were, yes, they felt I talked too much. Some of the students didn't understand some of my explanation and instruction. And sometimes I went off on tangents that weren't really necessary and that students didn't understand. So in terms of improving that, I felt that I needed to carry out some research because I didn't really know anything about how I was going to improve this. And I wanted really concrete ideas that I could put into my practice. So I carried out some research. I looked at blogs. I looked at also some non-EAP material to get some ideas. I also observed some teachers whom I knew to have, you know, I'd always felt that they got quite clear and direct instruction and explanation. And I found some quite interesting things, really. So Barreel, Sowell and Nakamuli Klebs, they were really useful for providing some quite concrete ideas around language, what to do, what not to do. But also it was expanding out as well to actually have some other ideas that were not language focused, that were actually, you know, for example, using visual support, using images that would reduce how much you're talking, using pauses, chunking your information into into meaningful groups. That would also aid understanding and reduce TTT. So there was some clear ideas that I got from the actual reading, and also as well at the Barley conference, Alexander and all gave a talk on teaching moments, which are when you as a teacher, when you go off script, and you might think that, you know, it might be because you're trying to engage with the students, or you think that this is a good learning opportunity, but they give advice that says, well, you know, just hold on. One, is it related to the aims of your lesson? Two, can you get back to the aims of your lesson easily? And three, is it confusing students? And I found that quite really good advice, because I think it's all too easy to go off on tangents sometimes. And again, it's not necessary. And then what I did after that was practice, and I practiced in class, I practiced away from class as well. And when I got to a point where I thought I was implementing that checklist, I then started evaluating what I'd done. And so again, I videoed a class, I rated myself according to those items, and I felt I'd improved. I felt I was doing those things. Certainly there was still room for improvement. I kept forgetting to check understanding, and by that I don't mean having activities to check understanding. It was actually verbally asking questions to test your students as to whether they really have understood. So again, still room for improvement. I also asked peers to jump in on my classes for 10-15 minutes, specifically to look at my teacher talking time and the clarity and brevity of what I was saying, and I got feedback. And then in the end of course evaluation, I put in some questions, not, you know, lots of detail. I asked questions around the pace of instruction. I asked about instructions being clear and understandable, and communications in general, where did you understand the teacher? And the results were pretty good. Most were strongly or agreeing. And then in terms of impact, you know, since doing this set of activities, I've found that learners have more time to practice. So there's more time for activities where they're getting genuine learning rather than just listening to me. I'm more relaxed, I'm not rushing. I feel that there's better engagement from students. You know, I can tell that from the activities I do, and also when I'm going into breakout rooms, there's also more interest as well. And I also feel my confidence has improved. So that's led to me feeling happier about doing public speaking, because I'm talking today. And then in terms of the students themselves, most of the students passed the year-long course that I do with them. And we'd had, in some cases, in some of the tests, that their grades had improved since last year. So that was all, you know, really good. And just really final thoughts on this. You know, I've really only just scratched the surface. This was a very little foray into trying to improve my teacher talk, and I think there's a lot more research that I can be doing, and you know, I want to expand that checklist and practice more. Okay, so that's me. So thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Judith.
Okay.